What's low-key the smartest test you've used to see if someone is a true team player? I have never been the kind of supervisor who thinks you can judge a volunteer by their resume. That always felt empty to me. But I have my own way of figuring out who has what it takes, especially when the pressure is real and everyone is watching. Every December, our downtown food bank turns into a whirlwind. The shelves need constant restocking, and the whole city seems to show up. School groups, local reporters, even city council members looking for a photo op. This year, we needed to pick 2 teens as youth volunteer leaders. That role came with real responsibility, a public spotlight, and a huge scholarship at the end. It was the biggest deal we'd ever made of it. On the first day of winter break, 2 applicants arrived. Ray was from a technical academy, sharp and confident, with a stack of reference letters in his folder. Olivia, representing another well-known academy, wore a backpack full of sticky notes and spreadsheets, her energy contagious. Both said hello to everyone, shaking hands and joking with the staff. I noticed several volunteers whispering, wondering who would win. Lunch break arrived, and I invited Ray and Olivia to eat with me at the folding table in our storage room. I smiled and asked, "So, what made you want this job?" Ray pushed his glasses up and said, "Honestly, I want to organize something real. Last year, our drive fed almost 100 families." Olivia nodded, her voice bright, and said, "My little brother used to get our lunches here. I want to make sure nobody ever feels embarrassed about coming in." Some of the regular volunteers stopped pretending not to listen. Even our director, Mrs. Tran, drifted closer, interested. I glanced at Mrs. Tran, and she caught my eye, giving a tiny shake of her head to remind me not to turn this into an interrogation. I relaxed and laughed, saying, "Don't worry, I only ask the tough questions on Saturdays." Mrs. Tran smiled and changed the topic, saying, "Has anyone warned you about our epic tomato can avalanche last year?" Both Ray and Olivia laughed, tension dissolving. After lunch, it was time for my real test. I stood and said, "You two, come with me to the back. We need to restock canned goods before the next rush." The other staff exchanged glances, recognizing the drill. Several volunteers nearby started whispering. Everyone knew that the youth volunteer lead usually got to plan events, speak at assemblies, and take pictures with donors. Today, the job was all about what happened behind the scenes, with all eyes watching. We reached the storeroom, stacked with crates. I picked up a can of chickpeas, and as we loaded a shelf, I accidentally dropped it. The can burst, sending juice all over Ray's hands. I watched for his reaction. Ray stared at the mess for a second, then looked at me and said, "I guess this is what they mean by hands-on experience, right?" He laughed and grabbed some paper towels to clean up. Next, I handed Olivia a carton labeled pasta. She set it down, opened it, and paused. She looked over, holding up a bag, and said, I think this is rice. Should I move it to grains or just relabel it?" She smiled and waited, ready to adjust. She was paying attention, not just following orders. As we worked, I started stacking a box and said, "People think leadership is about the meetings and speeches. Most days, it's cleaning up spills and noticing what's not working." Ray leaned over and said, "My school's robotics club always made the rookie take out the trash. I think the real test is whether you do it without being told." Olivia nodded, picking up cans, and said, "It's easy to volunteer when cameras are here. I want to be the person who shows up even when nobody's watching." By the time we finished, word about the stocking test had traveled. One teen whispered, "Did you see Ray's pants?" Another grinned and said, "Olivia found the pasta problem before anyone else." The regulars nodded, taking note. That evening, the team gathered to vote. The decision was unanimous. Ray and Olivia would be our youth volunteer leaders. It was not because they spoke the loudest or looked the best in photos. It was because they noticed what mattered and never hesitated to get their hands dirty, even with the city watching. 3 years later, during the biggest holiday drive in our history, Ray and Olivia came back to help. Both were now organizing citywide food efforts at their universities. They walked right past the photographers and new volunteers, heading for the back room. They grabbed crates and restocked the shelves, laughing about legendary chickpea stains and pasta mysteries. Mrs. Tran looked over and said, "You always did have a sixth sense for the right leaders." I grinned, watching them work side by side. I knew that sometimes the smartest test was not about what you said or how well you spoke in public. It was about what you were willing to do for others, especially when everyone was watching and the work was hard.